lost five, six, seven, $800,000. It was horrendous. It was awful, as some might say. But if I hadn't learned those lessons and gone through that, it could have happened later with more money when I also have a family. That would have been worse, right? So it's like, it's just all about how you view things, your perspective. So I put less than zero attention on school, and I was just like, this is the thing. This has got to be the thing. So I dedicated like a year of my life to it, watched my grades go to zero, somehow convinced my parents to let me switch to online school, which looking back was kind of a big deal. Now I look back on all that time and it was like training. All of that was just kind of prepping me for like what I'm doing now. Yeah, like that's how it feels.
If all the money, followers, and business success disappeared tomorrow, who would Hayden Bowles still
A
be?
person with a good attitude who would show up and do a great job at whatever he's working on.
I love that answer. Today's guest is Hayden Bowles, an entrepreneur, investor, and content creator who built his name by taking an unconventional path at a young age. After stepping away from the traditional school route as a high school dropout, Hayden went all in on entrepreneurship, e-commerce, and online business, eventually becoming known for teaching others how to build income, develop discipline, and create freedom through disciplined actions. Welcome to Become the Victor, where we don't just talk about what someone went through, we talk about who they became because of it. Please welcome Hayden Bowles.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate you as always.
I appreciate you, brother. And so Hayden, for everyone who coming across you for the very first time and they don't know too much about your story, what is your story? Before the success, before the business, what is your story?
Yeah, man. My name's Hayden. I'm 26. Today I own a supplement company and a consulting business, and I've invested in real estate along the way. So that's kind of where things have gotten to. I have a lot of fun building stuff. Obviously, it was a long process of getting there and learning and failing over and over again. But yeah, to kind of rewind the clocks, I started mowing lawns when I was like 10, 11, always trying to do something for a buck just so I could have some level of control and freedom. So that kind of spurred that, and tried all sorts of random business stuff when I was 14, 15. I was really into day trading. That didn't really go so well. That did spur into me meeting some people through that were doing well with like Instagram meme pages and learning how to grow accounts and post funny stuff. And then they would sell ad space to these e-commerce companies. So kind of led down the rabbit hole of getting around people that were doing e-commerce. And I was around like 16 years old when I really was like, I have to do this. I have to figure it out. I knew somebody kind of personally who was doing really well with it. So I knew it was real. I knew it was possible. So I put less than zero attention on school, and I was just like, this is the thing. This has got to be the thing. So I dedicated like a year of my life to it, watched my grades go to zero, somehow convinced my parents to let me switch to online school, which looking back was kind of a big deal. Immediately outsourced that to someone on Upwork for like 60 bucks a week. Great investment. And yeah, I just focused on building the company. It took about a year, from like 16 to 17, to really like figure out e-commerce, get really good at it. We were just running a drop shipping store. It was nothing crazy. And then I started documenting that on YouTube when I was 17. So I was just trying to create content that was the exact things I was looking for that there was no answers to. So like, how do you integrate this Shopify app into your website? How do you run Facebook ads for this? So I got really granular with it. There was no explosive growth on my channel. It was just slow and consistent, very niche content. And that eventually spiraled into the consulting company that I started right before I was 18. So that was really cool. And that still runs to this day. And so everything's had its ups and downs. Yeah, I ended up dropping out of high school and moved to California when I was 17, right before my 18th birthday, and just spent years grinding, man. I kind of moved around a lot, jumped around, went down to Puerto Rico for taxes, left there after a few years, ended up moving back down there. A lot of different drop shipping projects, and really getting good at e-commerce for many, many years. It felt like practice. It felt like getting a lot of experience over and over in every situation while also helping people do the same thing. So the income from that with drop shipping stores was kind of up and down because you'd randomly get shut down or someone would steal your product. But it was consistent year over year, and the consulting company just like a low, stable base. So just ran that for years and years, invested into real estate along the way. And I was always kind of more conservative when it came to like the investment side, the business side, like never took the big crazy swings, never stopped the business and went all in on crypto. Like I just kind of kept doing my thing, and that brought me to where I'm at today. So
Yeah, dude, it's incredible. And for the audience, like I literally seen Hayden's transformation from the ground up, like literally seen the entire transformation. So it's really, really cool. And you always seemed like you always had like this ambitious mindset. is where do you think that kind of that mindset like comes from? Is it from your family or is it just like wanting more?
I'd definitely say wanting more. For me, it's just the flexibility of being able to have a choice really mattered a lot to me. So I'd say that's where it all stems from, having like different moments in my childhood where I saw the family wasn't able to do something or, I'm sleeping on the floor on any, travels. And it was just stuff that was like frustrating to me, even though it's like minor stuff. Um, I just wanted more. And so, yeah, I would say that was the biggest thing so that I could provide my family with, at least a little bit more security.
Yeah. When you got into business, and a lot of people usually when they start a business, they're like, okay, I don't know where to begin, or I don't have the funds to do so. Like you said, you were mowing lawns and you were just doing side gigs essentially to help create the funds to essentially start your own business, right? What is your advice for anyone who wants to start a business and they really don't know where to begin? Like, should they start with money? Should they start with education? Where do you think they should start?
Yeah, I would say you can get so much for free nowadays. That wasn't really the case back then. I'd say the value of paying for education is more the relationship and like being able to ask specific questions. Like I still spend money on education like regularly. It just gets harder to find people the further you go because there's less people further ahead of you and it gets a heck of a lot more expensive. So, there's value in that at times. I think there is a lot of great information out there for free. But you got to try stuff. Like I see a lot of people decide to not start something because they're like, well, I don't know if that's the thing that's gonna be what I want to do forever. It's like, dude, who cares? Just like do something, pivot later, like just go with the flow and try stuff. It doesn't have to cost much money to start something. Like, yeah, I was, losing a few $1,000s here or there when I was trying e-commerce. Like it wasn't like I saved up 12 grand and then blew it all and had to save up again. Like it was still smaller in the grand scheme of things, and I was just able to hustle up 500 to $1,000 a month as a young teen and just figured it out. So, it wasn't much on that side. And there's a lot of other nuances to the story of like how we actually got the business entity open. I know you know that, like
Yeah.
had to convince my grandpa to open the business and what that led to. And so there was different loopholes and things that I had to go through that others didn't. But like I don't think you need a ton of money. It just depends on what you're trying to do.
When you were like you mentioned how, your grandpa helped you start the business and everything, is when you were going through that process, like you dropped out of high school and you're trying to convince your grandpa to start this business for you, was there much convincing or was he like he had full 100% faith, like, okay, I know Hayden is going to do something?
He was all in. He was my biggest supporter for sure. And I want to make it clear on the timeline, like he was always very supportive. At 16, I basically had him co-sign. It wasn't even an LLC, it was an EIN, just so I could get the business number so that I could open a bank account to have a debit card. I just needed a place for money to flow and to be able to pay for whatever a couple of softwares I needed. And I wasn't able to get that from my parents. And so I just went to him. I said, I'll buy you whatever car you want once I make a lot of money. And I just need this. And he was absolutely down for it. I can't imagine he even knew how to log in and check the bank account. Um, Funny story, that bank account is actually still open. Like I still use that as some random personal account, but it worked out well. So I want to make it clear, like he started that. I was able to get the business going. I didn't officially drop out of school until things had been going well for like a little while. So it wasn't like I dropped out to start something. I think a lot of people try to do that. They're like, well, school's in the way or my job's in the way or whatever. It's like, dude, you got to be able to do it. And school was like 7 hours a day of my time, and I could spend the other 7, 8, 9, 10 hours just working. So, yeah, I dropped out after.
Yeah. What was navigating that process like? Like how you said you're young and you wanted to drop out of high school so you can like focus the 7 to 10 hours, on your business. What was navigating that process like with your parents? Like, were they really supportive on it? Did they not understand it? Like, what do you think was the hardest navigational transition during that?
Yeah, I mean, I'd say they gave me a lot of flexibility in terms of time. Like, as long as you did your school, whatever else you want to do is up to you. Like, hopefully, go play outside and do your thing. Like, don't be a bum in the house all day. But I never really had that problem. So I don't think they really cared a ton. They just were very like, you got to go to school. Like, let's figure out going to college. Like, they were kind of pushing that. And I think I slowly whittled them down over the years where they were like, you got to go to a good college. And I mentioned, like, well, you got to finish high school. Like, they just started moving the bar lower. And I felt a little bad about not finishing high school, but it all worked out. And part of the thing is like they didn't have a lot of visibility into what I was doing. I kept things very, very private. And then with the bank account that was through my grandpa, like they had no idea what was going on. So I think that was partially my fault not sharing. I just didn't want to share. I just wanted to do my own thing.
Yeah. Dude, I think like again, I think it's so cool to seriously again be part of not be part, but like see your entire transformation, you know what I mean? And to now have you share your story on the podcast, it really, really means a lot. When you were going through this, like you said, you knew what it is you wanted, and you talked about how you wanted to start the business, you had to do XYZ. Is did you study from other people, or did you like, how did you know the next steps to come?
It's tough because you're always going to make mistakes. Like there wasn't an exact playbook, which was part of the reason I started putting out YouTube videos. I was like, dude, people just need like not the, okay, you got to get to 20K a month, but like how? Like explain how do I launch ads on Facebook? Is it Google? What do those ads need to look like? To what page? At what offer? Like the specifics for my business, I had no idea. So it took a lot. That's why I think it took me longer than I think some people could do it now. Um, but there's a lot of figuring it out. So next steps for me, like I had bought a couple small cheap courses that were helpful more on like mindset and like how to think about money, how to think about things. But it was just a lot of time, it definitely took a lot of time. And I'd say back to what we said about like, was it out of want or what was the goal of all this? Like I'd say it definitely starts out of want. Then once you get it going, it transitioned a lot to security. Like let's build a baseline here where it's kind of undisruptible. It's like even if anything were to happen, like I'm covered. I'm not homeless. Everything's good. And I think that's still definitely ongoing. Your numbers obviously change as you get bigger. But then it kind of transitions into fun. Like you start having fun building projects and companies. And I've operated a lot out of security. So I never took the big swings. Like I started buying real estate when I was 19, just slow and steady. I was just saving money. I make money, get rid of it. Make money, get rid of it. I wasn't in the clubs. Like you never saw me on, videos posting bottles. And like some people do that, more power to you, I guess, do whatever you want. But I was just very conservative with it. Just work all day. So I had no time to waste money or do anything dumb. And it kind of kept me out of trouble and just save. Like that was kind of my repeatable process. And it just now I look back on all that time and it was like training. All of that was just kind of prepping me for like what I'm doing now. Yeah, like that's how it feels.
Yeah, like everything prepared you up to for this like very moment. When you're young, I'm really, really curious. I'm really fascinated with this question. Is when you're young and you're starting to see all of this success, and now you're trying to hire or not hire, but you're trying to get bigger clients. What do you think was the hardest? Was it hard to get these clients because you're so young? Like, were you underestimated?
Well, it was interesting because I never really ran like a service-based business where we'd, have 30 companies that pay us a retainer to do something. I never wanted, first of all, really the liability or responsibility. So I was always running my e-commerce stuff, selling physical products, and then documenting how to do that. And we had like hundreds of training videos on every point of the process, and people could buy that. So for years, all we had was essentially a video course. There was no community. I never did calls with people. Like I probably didn't do a phone call for years, like ever. And so it's very like automated on that side. I didn't want the responsibility of it. I saw people fall into that trap of, oh, I'll just like give me 40 grand and I'll manage your entire business. And then it doesn't go well. And now there's like a problem. Like that just doesn't sound right. Um, so I didn't have a ton of that issues. I'd say if anything, the age kind of helped on the consulting side because it was like surprising to see someone young that like could show proof of results and could show a tax return. And, I mean, obviously I had bought cars and stuff along the way. And so I guess that's social proof on the internet, especially back then. And so I don't think it hurt or helped a ton. Yeah, I think at times it felt like an advantage and at times it definitely felt like a disadvantage.
What is one thing you were like most proud of to go from like where you were to like where you are now?
Mm, just the consistency. Like no matter what's occurred, I've showed up every single day. Like every day. And I've showed up with a good attitude. Like some of my friends think I'm completely delusional. The world's crumbling around me and there's business problems, people stealing money, lawsuits. Like there's been crazy stuff where like I'm getting attacked for stuff that we didn't do anything. And like just crazy stuff has occurred. And they're all like, how are you just cool as a cucumber at a barbecue right now? Like, dude, relax, man. Everything's good. Like, it's not that, put it in the big picture. Like, it's not that big of a problem, And so you just figure it out, you navigate it, you operate from a place of ethics, and you just go forward. Like, that's all you can do.
Yeah.
So,
What do you think that mindset like comes from? Like you said, you're like everything's fine, everything's chill, like what do you to develop that mindset is not the
you got to
easiest,
build that.
especially when your world is in chaos.
Well, yeah, like when I moved to California at 17 and then I got my first apartment when I was 18 at the beach in Newport Beach, California, like I lived alone. I was alone for months. I had no friends in the States. Like I purposefully isolated myself and I spent a lot of time, even before that, when I was back home, like rewiring my brain. It sounds weird, but like I was only reading books on business stuff and positivity, and it wasn't all like that self-help, like feel good, woo-wah, whatever stuff. It was like just very practical advice on how to handle situations. And I looked like a crazy person. My apartment had no couch. It was a mattress on the floor in the room. It was a gorgeous apartment, but it was a mattress in the room. It was a desk and like 10 huge whiteboards all around it on the walls, big freestanding ones. And I stuck a bunch of random stuff all over the walls. And there was one concept that stuck with me forever, and I immediately put it on the wall. And that's that everything is neutral in life. You are the one who ascribes meaning to that, right? I knock over a lamp, the lamp breaks. I hated the lamp, so I'm excited about it. But you loved the lamp, it was your favorite. So for you, it's a devastation. You're horrified by this. Two completely different reactions, same thing occurred. Why? Right. And so like you could play that into anything. Someone rear ends you in traffic. Are you gonna get out and yell at them? Why? It already occurred. You can't change what happened. All you can change is your reaction to it. And so that kind of stuck with me, and I really trained myself on that. And nobody's perfect. I've had plenty of crazy reactions and things, but I'm like a very calm person when things go south. And so I don't know. I don't even view it as going south. Like again, like how you're phrasing things, like define the negative, Like I remember a year where people stole stuff from me and business cratered and I lost five, six, seven, $800,000. It was horrendous. So it was awful, as some might say. But if I hadn't learned those lessons and gone through that, it could have happened later with more money when I also have a family. That would have been worse. Right. So it's like it's just all about how you view things, your perspective.
Yeah, that's a great perspective too. Is like how you said it it's better to happen now than later when it's when it's a really really big deal. Like you said, if you have a family and things like that. When
Yep.
when you were going through this business and you were starting, like your primary thing is Facebook ads. I don't know if it still is, but your primary thing used to be Facebook ads, and then you eventually got into real estate. Is when you were navigating these different businesses, is how do you manage to juggle all of these different businesses or companies?
Yeah, over time they slowly become a little more automated. I was never the person to have like six different things running. Like I have friends that like can juggle all that. I keep it very focused. Like I run the e-commerce and I document it, right? So it doesn't take a lot of time and it's still the same thing. I'm just explaining what I'm doing, which almost helps me to understand it. Like coaching people on e-commerce does help me get better at it. I get to see all these situations and help them, and like they get to watch mine. So there's a lot of synergy there and it doesn't take a ton of time. Getting into real estate, it took a lot of time to learn it, right? To like talk to the right people. I took a lot of time to study it. I started spending, a few hours a day. Part of that was I was always passionate about it. But like I spent a ton of money getting around. Like that was the first time I spent way more money learning real estate than I did learning e-commerce initially. First of all, because I had the money and because I prefer to be around real estate people than e-commerce people, even though I operate in the e-commerce world, not really real estate, especially these days. But real estate people, you meet them within 5 minutes at some paid event. They're all super friendly. Nobody's, super cocky and egotistical, really. Like they'll explain their portfolio. This guy's got 100 million over here. And it's like, it's a different conversation than you're at some Miami event and some kids leaving with this chest. Like, yeah, yeah, man, I made 17K. Like, fuck you. Like, I got this watch. Like, it's just a horrible environment. And they never want to share their brand or their product or what they're doing. And like, it's just horrendous. And so I dove really deep into real estate. I got around just really good quality family people, like who are strong in their faith and just good quality morals, and have built a business for the last 20 years and have 10 million, 50 million, literally people with $400 million that I can text, that I've partnered with deals on, like built real friendships by coming from a place of value, right? And being able, and also paying to get in certain rooms and spending time investing into those relationships. So part of that was like a long-term investment, not just into those properties, but like, let's just say Hayden wins the lottery for $1 billion today. I would feel so incredibly comfortable deploying a couple 100 million of that into real estate. It would be a breeze. It'd be the easiest thing in the world because I know it very well. I know that way more than the stock market. Like that's my place of comfort, you know. So I got good at that and kind of trained myself with that, and so it's kind of like a lifelong skill now. Um, but it's just a safe, secure investment. So just save the money to the side and keep running the business day to day. I don't think it was a lot of things to juggle, to be honest.
Yeah. When for someone who wants to get into the business world, right? Like your environment plays such a huge role in terms of like who you become. it plays like a big factor, right?
Yeah.
When someone wants to surround themselves with much more, let me say, high value people, right? How do you get into those rooms when before you're even in that position? Like, how do you surround yourself with those kind of people?
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough because you can't really fake it, and you can't jump there before you're somewhat of an equal. Like there is always a disconnect when you're not quite an equal. And the best position you can be in is when someone else who's in that circle vouches for you and brings you in. So it's a warm introduction. That changes everything in business and life, like a warm introduction. You approach a girl at a bar because you think she's cute versus her friend walks you up and introduces you.
Yeah.
you know like you could manufacture that. You could have watched both those girls at the bar and one leaves to go to the bathroom and you catch her on her way back and say, hey, I'm a nice guy, I'd love to meet your friend, would you do me the biggest favor in the world and introduce me to her, and pretend like we know each other just for a second. It'll be a joke. Warm introduction, even if she finds out 20 seconds later you guys weren't friends. Like, how do you just change that? And so I don't know. I've always like, I never really cared about how many friends I had or how many people were around me. I just wanted the right people. And so I'd rather have very few friends and spend all my time with them. Like back in the day, I'm sure you saw the videos, like we lived in a big house together. We had like the four friends there and we lived in our bubble and we curated that. And I've moved a lot and will continue to move based on people. Like people matter. Areas change, people move out, but like I moved back down to Puerto Rico for the second time specifically to move into Dorado Beach because it's the wealthiest bubble in pretty much the United States, like almost without a doubt. Like it's such a high barrier to entry that I don't have to guess. If someone lives there, I don't have to guess if they do well in their field. I know for a fact you've been doing it for many, many years to have the stability to be in here. Like there's just not even a question. And so there's like certain positions where you can put yourself in that, but I don't know. People say like providing value to someone, but that's tough to like get on the same like friendship level just by trying to provide value. Like you need a way to get into the social circle, and usually that's by having done something sweet that they like. You need something comparable.
Did you ever have a mentor that you look up to that really helped you get to where you are now?
No, no, I never had like the rich guy I looked up to and kind of knew that was a family friend. Like I cherry picked people mostly from the internet. Some I've met in person, some I've never even spoken to. But they were based on categories, like real estate guy, and not really a specific e-commerce guy. But I would cherry pick people for certain things, and I'd find ways to either pay them and buy whatever courses and stuff they have, or try to go meet them and find ways to get around their circle. And I did that. Like there was a real estate group that was, you had to go through an invitation thing and like a whole interview process. And 200 people. They meet up 3 times a year in different parts of the world. And cool. I joined this group. I think it was like 30 grand a year or something. And you had to travel to these things 3 times a year. Like it wasn't cheap, but whoever's paying for that is legitimate real estate people. And they were. And so I spent years in that group, getting around them, becoming friends, providing value to the guy who runs the group, who has 400 million worth of real estate. And eventually he wants me to speak on stage there about what I do because it's very different to people in the room. And like, so you're just providing value. And I'm not a public speaker. I don't really like that just makes me really uncomfortable, which is why I said yes immediately when he asked, because it would immediately make me known to every person in the group. Right. So now it's a warm introduction if I bump into anyone and talk, because they at least know me, you know? So it's just all about dynamics, but I never had like one specific person that really helped me along the way. No.
D- Do you ever intentionally make yourself uncomfortable?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Like that speaking one for sure. And I did that twice actually at that event, 2 different times. Yeah, I'd say it's more so about like I did it many times throughout my career with money. Like not the I make 10 grand a month, so let me get a $4,000 car payment to like put my back against the wall. I feel like you hear that sometimes, and that sounds like a roll of the dice to me.
Yeah.
Uh, but I remember a specific time, the craziest one ever, where I think I was 20. Yeah, I was living in Puerto Rico. Maybe I just turned 21. I was buying another small apartment complex. It ended up taking a little bit more money than I thought. I literally had to move money from my business account and my other business account into my personal, sell like the 6 grand of crypto that I happen to have had, move all of it into one account just to have enough money to send the wire to close on this property. And I had 2 grand. like it's the 20th of the month. I've got, a small amount of payroll coming up in 10 days. I got rent for like 4 grand. Like I got some of this stuff popping up and I have $2,000 to my name. I've done that before where I've run myself dry. It's not necessarily the best position, but I was never like super uncomfortable with it because absolute worst case, I could text any friend and fix it, but I would have never done that. So it kind of puts your back against the wall. Um, but yeah, I do like to get uncomfortable, like moving back to Puerto Rico and into that very, very expensive neighborhood. Like it's absurd. Like it's essentially 55 grand a year just for the gym membership. Like it's stupid. It's stupid. And so like I've done that before, but you got to keep it in check.
Yeah. I wanted to ask that because you sound like you're always like self-analyzing. Like you sound like you're always striving to grow, whether it's like in every areas of your life. So I was very curious because in order, sometimes when you have that mindset, you intentionally try to make yourself uncomfortable. That way you can become comfortable with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That
It's
was
just
my
a stair stepper. Like you're uncomfortable, that's the growth, and then you get comfortable at that position or whatever it is. And I always describe it as breaking your frame, right? How do you break your frame? If you, for the first time ever, you're a new entrepreneur, whatever, and you get around people that are actually kind of doing stuff, even if it's not crazy numbers, like they're killing it in your eyes, dude, that shatters your world in the best way. Like it's possible. I've seen it. I talked to them. Like I was there in the ecosystem. We were at dinner, like nuts. And you have those moments, but what I've noticed is they start happening less and less, right? Because number one, it takes more to continue breaking it. So it needs to be crazier situations, whatever it might be. But you got to try to put yourself around positions where that can happen. Because like the faster you can break your frame, it's just rewiring you. It's just allowing you to think bigger. Like it's been very helpful for me. And that was a huge, huge part of like moving back down to Puerto Rico, of also even moving back out of Puerto Rico the first time. Like I always kind of play that decision there and like who I'm trying to get around and the environment I'm creating.
yeah. We're gearing towards the end of the episode here, and right before I start to ask the last question, is I'm very, very curious. What is something that you are passionate about outside of business? Because, like, at the end of the day, yes, you're business orientated, but you're a human being at the end of the day, right? What is something that you're passionate about outside of business?
Yeah, I'd say I'm very into health and fitness. That's been a big thing that's happened the last like 3 years, 4 years. So I got super into that, had a lot of fun with it. It's now like a part of my daily routine. Learned how to skydive many years ago. Got almost 1,000 skydives. Don't do it much these days, but got very good at that. I take up a lot of hobbies, shooting, some snowboarding. I grew up snowboarding. So I was just in Japan for a few weeks, riding the just insane record snow that they've had in the last 70 years. I do a lot of traveling. So definitely passionate about that. Relationships and cars. Cars are probably my biggest hobby and enjoyment, to be honest. I've lived with them and then got rid of them to be like, do I really like these for the right reasons? And yeah, I just love cars. So that's fun.
Dude, that's so cool. I know your Huracan was sick, by the way. Like I loved your Huracan. I think you got rid of it now, but
Yeah, I had that car for 4 or 5 years. And I bought that when I was 18, right before my 19th birthday. But yeah, I had that car for a year or two, did a full twin turbo build on it, made it just fast as heck, and then kept it for a few years. It was always broken. It was really annoying, and then eventually sold it. But yeah. Yeah, just
it,
having fun now. Like it's been fun to see the growth of cars, to get to try different ones and experience it and go through that and learn how to not really lose money on cars too. Like I'm a value shopper. You're not catching me at a designer store wasting, thousands of dollars. Like it's just like you got to respect money. And so even in my hobbies, I try to respect money as best as possible.
do you still have your OG gold BMW?
I wish. I wish. I got rid of that right when I moved to Puerto Rico the first time. Tried to buy it back a year later, but the guy had literally went from 50,000 miles. I bought it with 9,000 miles, drove it to 50. And then that guy put 50 to 95 in a year. I was like, what are you doing, man? Driving Uber? Road trip? What? And he wanted some crazy numbers. So I actually bought a different one, a version of the same one. Like that's my favorite car. The 2015, 2016 M4 is just the best car for the money. But yeah, it's fun. So I'm starting to buy a little bit of stuff again, but going through just the whole transition of cars and Puerto Rico, moving there, and all that stuff was training up to now, like building the supplement brand for a little over 2 years and like building what I would consider a real company, like an actual business. It's been very different. And so the skills and the training and the connections that I've made have definitely helped a ton. So
Yeah,
yeah.
that's so cool. I know your BMW, I know it's like your OG like ultimate favorite car.
Yeah.
And I think I was like your first big purchase. When Well, the before I get into the last question is what is your dream car? I think it would be kind of cool, like if you when you achieve it and then you reflect on it. What is your dream car you would love to like have one day?
Oh, it's a Ferrari F40, no doubt. No doubt.
Yeah, that
I
car
went
is
to Japan. Japan has all these little like toy cars and these little shops that are like expensive and they're really cool, like in these little glass cases. And I spent like $1,000, which for me is like very out of character to like little toys. But I was like, these are so sick. And I got like five different ones, like a full carbon, like all the different, Liberty Walk ones and LM models. Like I just love that car. And so those are all sitting in my office and stuff. But yeah, there's that was like the car when I was a kid that I saw, and I was like, oh. But it continues to elude me. It was 300,000 or 400,000 when I fell in love with it, and then it was like 3 million, and now over the last year and a half, they went from like three and a half to five, and they're going to be six, then seven. Like it's just going to, I don't know. We'll see if we ever get there.
dude, that is sick. The last question I always ask, I ask all my guests this, and it's my favorite question, is what is one question you wish more people asked you, but they don't?
It's a great question. Yeah, I like to almost take time to reflect on that.
I like it because it's very thought-provoking.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like, people ask the like, "How are you? How are you doing?" But like, it's a formality. It's not a real question, and nobody gives a real answer.
Yeah.
I think that could be one. Um, it's just how are things going in your personal life? I think everything focuses on business, especially when you're public with that. So yeah, I mean, put in less emphasis on the business side of life because that's not life, that's projects. That's what you spend your time on. That's passion, sure. But there's a life outside of that for sure.
Yeah. So you ready for the rapid fire questions?
Let's go, brother.
Okay, so there's seven rapid fire questions. The first one is when you dropped out of high school, what scared you the most?
Financial stability, even though I had money already. Like just making sure that it could work because there was no option of going back in my head.
What did people misunderstand about your decision to take the unconventional path?
That it was stupid and early. They thought it was premeditated or like premature. But I was already doing fine.
What is the biggest sacrifice you made for success that people would never see online?
A personal life for years, and probably the first relationship I was in. Yeah.
What is one mistake in business that taught you more than success ever could?
Losing half my money right after COVID with people screwing me over and my own mistakes. It was ultimately all my fault. Just not watching over things, trying to grow too fast in too many directions. And it was just an absolute crap show. It was fun.
What is a belief you had about money that you had to unlearn once you actually started making it? I love this question.
Yeah, that money flows freely. You can't if you start making a lot of it, you can't just trap it, and you got to spend to grow. You got to spend to invest. You got to be willing to somehow get in the nice environment a little bit. Don't overspend and don't be ridiculous. But the people who get a lot of money and clench it and never let it go, usually the spout that is feeding them the money right now, it usually slows down. I've noticed that. So somewhat free flowing. Be generous. Be generous with it is the best way I could describe it.
If all the money, followers, and business success disappeared tomorrow, who would Hayden Bowles still be?
A person with a good attitude who would show up and do a great job at whatever he's working on.
I love that answer. The last question is when you look back at the younger version of yourself, what would you tell him?
Don't be scared to take bigger swings and invest all of your money you're making through e-commerce into Shopify stock. You would have done just fine. Could have simplified the whole thing. Just every penny you're making, just put it in Shopify and Meta, which were literally the two companies I was using every single day.
Yeah.
Like, set it and forget it would have done very well.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Especially the ROI in today's world. Yeah, it would have been insane.
Yeah.
It would have been really, really good. Now, for let the audience know where they can find you, your socials, any and all projects you want them to know, anything and everything you want the audience to know. Feel free to let them know.
Yeah, my Instagram is just real Hayden. You can also find me over on YouTube, but go to my Instagram. That's where I'm usually more active. I get out a couple YouTube videos a month at best here. We're trying. We're pretty busy in the weeds with the supplement company, but doing what we can to keep documenting. I try to answer all the DMs as best I can over on Instagram. So you'll find more of me over there.
Yeah, and all of his links will be within the description as well. And for the audience listening at home, where did you feel less alone while tuning into today's episode? Comment down below. I love you guys. I appreciate you guys. This has become The Victor, where we turn trials into triumph. Again, I love you guys. I appreciate you guys. And as always, remember, grow through what you go through. Much love.